today we're going to be looking at interpreting graphs, guys. This is lesson 8 of 8. Now, Busani, since you're joining us for the first time today, you've already missed lessons 1 to 7. Okay, but don't stress. You can find the recordings for lessons 1 to 7 on our website, and you're able to go through them and see what we've done so far. Okay, today we're going to be looking at interpreting graphs and how we can possibly answer questions that look like this one. All right. So the first question says, the diagram illustrates sketch graphs of the linear function f of x is equal to negative 4x minus 8. My first question, guys, is what kind of graph is this? What kind of graph is this? Tell me in the chat. All right, it is not a parabola. It's not a parabola, I will tell you that. I want somebody who can tell me why it's not a parabola, because it's not. Have a look at the function that they've given us, guys. What kind of function is it actually? Ah, Princess has finally seen it. Yes, Onako. What have they given us over here?
Ma'am, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Ma'am, it's a straight line because the x isn't squared.
Beautiful, Onako. That's exactly what I was looking for. Good. It is a straight line because our x is not squared. Mwah. Excellent. Thank you, Onako. That's exactly what I wanted to hear. It's not our parabola, guys. It's a straight line graph because we've got a gradient of -4 and x and a y-intercept of -8. So we need to be very careful, guys. Just because our drawing shows us a parabola, it doesn't mean that they've given us the equation of the parabola. All they've said is, they've actually told us in this, it says here, the diagram illustrates sketch graphs of the linear function, which means that it's a straight line. And then it says, and the quadratic function g of x. So they haven't actually even given us the equation of the quadratic. They've only given us the equation of the linear function. So we still need to go find the equation of the parabola. Okay. We need to go find the equation of the parabola. Now, let's have a look at what's happened over here. What can we look at before we even get into the questions? Let's study the diagram that they say here. They say study the diagram and answer the questions. Right, we're first going to look at this. Who says it looks like a creepy... Michael, where have you been? It's been forever. Hi, Michael. You've been gone a while. All right, let's look at this over here. What do we notice, guys? What do we notice about this graph that they've given us? Anybody want to give us some insights into what we're seeing? Anyone? Anybody notice things? I'll give you guys a hint. Look at that thing over there. Look at that thing over there. Anything that crosses the y and the x-axis tells us things. Raven, is that you? I see somebody named Zoom user. Who's Zoom user? Oh no, Raven isn't grade 9, my bad. Anybody got anything? What do we know about things that, ooh, look at me. Good, okay, Oratilo, we see 2 graphs in one. Hello, Kama. Hi, my sweetie. No one, absolutely no one, Michael, absolutely no one. All right, guys, let me ask a question here, guys. What do we call lines that cross the y-axis? What do we call lines that cross the y-axis? I'll give you guys a hint. It starts with an I. No worries, Ayanda. Yes, good, Ritepile. It's called a y-intercept. It's called a y-intercept. And what do we know about the y-intercept, guys? At the y-intercept, what? What happens at the y-intercept? Good. Okay, Chifaro saying equals 0. What equals 0? Good. X is equal to 0. Okay, so that's one thing we know for sure. Now, I want you guys to notice something about the point A. What do we notice about point A in terms of the straight line graph and the parabola? Anybody see anything interesting there? Anything interesting? Right. Good, it's the turning point. Sorry, I'm just trying to plug my charger in. Being finicky. Oh, here, there we go. All right, good. It's the turning point, and they intersect. Who said that? Nkechi, you're a whole genius. Good. They intersect, and it's the turning point. But okay, so this point over here is the turning point of our parabola, but we also know that it's something else for our straight line graph. What do we know that? What is that point called on our straight line graph? That's it, Kanyisile. Beautiful. It's the y-intercept of my straight line graph, right? So we know if we look at our straight line graph, our y-intercept, look at the formula for the straight line graph, guys. What is our y-intercept going to be equal to? What is the y-intercept equal to? No worries, Mateo, welcome. Good. Good. Our y-intercept is equal to -8. Good. So we already know, before we've even done anything, we know that this point over here, we know our x value is going to be 0, and our y value, because that's our y-intercept, that's going to be equal to -8. There's our point. 0, -8. Good. Now, we know that this part over here crosses the x-axis. What do we know about the part that crosses the x-axis? What do we call the part where our graph crosses the x-axis? Good, Onako, it's the x-intercept. And what do we know happens at the x-intercept, guys? X-intercept, sit. Y is equal to 0. Excellent. So we've already got so much information before we even answer the questions. We've managed to do quite a lot, right? So we know that our y value over here at 2 is going to equal 0, right? And what is the point over here at B? What is the point going to be over here at B? If this side is equal to 2 and 0, what will this point over here be equal to? Good, can you see? Okay, because it's almost like a mirror image of the one and the other. This is going to be the point -2. And what is my y value over here at the x-intercept? What is my y value? At B, Michael, at B, good, it's 0. Okay, whew, guys, we've already done so much and we haven't even answered a single question yet. I have one more question to ask, guys. What do we call this point where the two graphs meet? This point and this point. What do we call these 2 points, guys? Oh, it's not the origin. Nkechi, you're a whole rock star. We're doing both. Moteo, we are answering both questions. Good. It's the point of intersection. This point and this point are the points of intersection. What do we know about the two graphs at the point of intersection? I'll do that at the end of the lesson. Come on. What do we know about the points of intersection, guys? What do we know about the two graphs? At the point of intersection, my two graphs are what? Good. My two graphs are equal. It's not Retepile. Who said this? Nkanka? It's not even just the coordinates, Nkanka. It's not even just the coordinates. It's the functions of the graph themselves. So what we're actually saying, Nkanka, is that f of x, at the point of intersection, f of x is equal to g of x. Okay. They're equal to each other at this point. Okay. They're both equal to each other. All right. Now, let's look at the questions over here. Okay. 7.1 says, give the coordinates of the point A. I mean, we're already done, guys. Give me the coordinates of A because we've already looked at them. Mateo, what's up?
Hi, ma'am.
Hannah, sweetie.
Ma'am, I just wanted to make sure g of x is for the parabola and then f of x is for the straight line.
I don't know, Mateo. Did you read the information that they've given you? Did you read the information? If you'd read the information, I wouldn't even have to tell you because you would already know.
Oh, sorry, but I just came in now and then this board is just full of things like, whoa.
Oh, I see. That's okay, my sweetie. Okay, remember, even if you come in late, your first step, Mateo, is to read the information that they've given us. Okay, so let's start with reading the info. Okay, which graph is which? Can you tell me?
So the parabola is g of x and then the straight line is f of x.
Good, that's it. That's it. Okay, you've got it. All right, give me 1 second, my sweetie. All right, so everybody already knows what the answer for 7.1 is, right? Now it says the coordinates of point B. So I want you guys to do 7.1, 7.2, and then we'll talk about 7.3. And after you've written 7.1 and 7.2, I want you guys to drop your favorite emoji in the chat to tell me that you guys understand exactly what's going on here. Okay, go for it.
Lelo, are you done already? Michael and Sitanango, you guys done already? Well done. You guys work fast. So we're doing 7.2 and 7.3. Oh, interesting emojis. I like the one from Kemotlosho. Black, I'm talking my nails. Yes. Pata Mamelo couldn't choose. She has like 3 different emojis.
One, okay. I saw somebody with a pride flag. It is Pride Month. I see it. I see you. It's Pride. It's an International Pride Day.
Today?
Yes.
Oh.
Okay, Stephen, which point do we need to help you with? Okay, you need to tell us. All right. I know everybody's already given me the point of the coordinates of A. Okay, the coordinates of A were 0 and -8. Okay, what about the coordinates of point B, guys? Do you want to pop your answer in the chat for me? Anybody got the coordinates of B for me? Thank you, Ursula. Amazing. That's it, Lesego. Lesego, and Lindo Guche, please don't forget your brackets, okay? Because it's a coordinate. So we need to have the brackets. So we need to say brackets, -2, semicolon, 0, close brackets. Okay. So we need to make sure, okay, that we're writing it in coordinate form. Otherwise, we're not going to get our mark. In fact, you need to write an A in front of this one, and you need to write a B in front of this one. Okay, Tinswalo. Okay, we have actually gone through why we get these coordinates when we look at the y-intercept and the x-intercept. I don't know how late you came into class, because we had just explained how we get those. So my sweetie, I need you to just hold on for me. Okay, after today's lesson, you can watch like the first 10 minutes. Okay, because we explain how we get there. All right, Now it says, give the range of g of x. What is the range again? What are we describing when we talk about the range, guys? Oh, no. Good. Ooh, Ursula even gave us the correct answer. Not the highest point. In this case, yes, it would be the lowest point. Good. But what is the range normally? The range is our y values. It's our y values. Good. So not even just our maximum point, because we don't have a maximum point. Okay, we don't have a maximum point, Busani, because our graph keeps going forever and ever. But we do have a minimum point over there. So we know that our graph cannot go lower than our turning point. So because the range is our y values, we're going to write this. We're going to go y is an element of real numbers, but y cannot be less than -8. So it needs to be greater than or equal to -8. That's okay, it happens. Okay, Anotida, remember, do not say that x cannot be equal to -8, because if you say it can't be equal to -8, what you're saying is there's no turning point. Okay, that's what you're saying. If you say y can't be equal to -8, you're saying that my turning point is an asymptote. It's not an asymptote. Okay, we need to say that our graph can only be greater than or equal to the y value of our turning point. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense to you. Good, thank you, teacher Nels. All right, Chifaro says, kinda. We're gonna talk a little bit more about range as we go along. All right, now look at what ma'am has written over here, because this is gonna help us to answer the next questions. It says here, for which values of x is f of x equal to g of x? When do we know that two things are equal? Which points tell us that my two graphs are equal? Nkanka, I'm looking at you because we just spoke about it a second ago. When do we know that our two graphs are equal to each other? At which point? Or which points? Good, at the points of intersection. Sure, and Nkanka even says at A and B. Good, at A and B, you're 100% correct. Right. But I can't then go, my points are equal at A, which is 0 and -8, and at B at -2 and 0. No. What is the question actually asking for, guys? It's not asking for coordinates. What is it asking for? Which values do they want? No, they don't want points. Look at the questions, the values of x. Good. They only want my x values. So I want you guys to go to the points A and B, and I want you to tell me what my x values are. At x is equal to what? And x is equal to what? What are my 2 points? Good. Lesego. Excellent. X is equal to -2 and x is equal to 0, because that's the only thing that they want. And Kimotoko, do not write them in coordinate form, because what you're telling me is that x is equal to 0 and y is equal to -2. Do not put them in coordinate form. Okay, you need to just put them as x is equal to -2 and x is equal to 0. Okay. Brian the brain, guys, I'm very sorry. I'm very sorry. There's just a lot of work that we need to get through. Okay, so we are hardly afforded brain breaks. Guys, I told you, like high school, this is next level. Okay, this is next level. Okay, now let's look at this next question, guys. The next question says, for which values of x is f of x greater than g of x? Now, let's think about this, guys. We know that f of x and g of x are actually our y values. Right. Yes, Chifaro, we are. Okay. F of x and g of x are my y values. But what is my f of x? My f of x is my straight line, right? And g of x is my parabola. So they're asking you guys, where is my parabola, or where is my straight line bigger than my parabola? Let's think again. Let's think again, Anochita, you were almost there. Okay, she's like, yeah, no, you lost me. Okay, all right, let's think about this. Look at the y values where my straight line is above my parabola. Anyway, can anyone see it? Between, yes, Mamelo, one of my points is at A, okay, at A, there. My straight line is above my parabola. A, between 2 points. Which 2 points is that going to be, guys? Between which 2 points will my graph be bigger? Yes, good, Michael, that's it. Between A and B, right? Look, my straight line is above, my parabola. Do you see how my parabola is below and my straight line is above? Do we see it? My parabola is below and my straight line is above. So we now know that because they want the x values where my straight line is bigger than my parabola, that's going to be all the points in between here and there. Oh my God, Kagusila is so dramatic. It's like, where was I going? Oh, Jesus, where was I going? All right, we're only looking for the parts where the graph is greater at that point. So we know that the values where my straight line sits above my parabola is where x is in between -2 and 0. Okay, just tell me, okay, guys, give me a thumbs up if you understand, and then just type again in the chat if you want me to explain that again. Okay, Nicole, if you're giving me a thumbs down, does that mean I need to explain it again? Okay, cool. I'm seeing a lot of explain agains. All right, excellent. Okay, so cool. I can re-explain, no worries. Let's talk about this, guys. Let's talk about this. All right, so look, now I've erased my good stuff, right? 0 and -8. Right, let's look at our question. Let's look at our question, guys. Let's look at the question. The question says, for which values of x? Do we all agree that they want the x values? Yes or no? Okay, yes, excellent. We're all together. They want the x values, right? Mattel's like, yars, yes, absolutely. They want the x values. Okay, now they're asking us, they want to know where f of x is bigger than g of x. Which graph is f of x, guys? Which of the graphs is f of x? Good, Waruna, good. F of x is the straight line graph. Good. So this is the straight line graph, right? And g of x is my parabola. Good. G of x is my parabola. Good. Now, I need to ask you guys one more question. If I said f of x, am I looking for x values or y values? What does f of x stand for? Good. F of x stands for y. It stands for y, not x. It stands for y. Right. So my y is this axis here. We're in agreement. This is my y-axis. This one over here. Okay. The up and down is my y. Right. So now they're telling me to just go look for the part in my graph where my straight line sits above. My straight line is above the parabola. Okay. Now, here is my straight line. My straight line is over there. And at that point there, it's sitting above my parabola. It's sitting above my parabola. What about over here? If we look at up here, guys, these two lines, which graph is sitting above the other? Which one is sitting above in this portion over here? Which graph is sitting above? Ooh, the parabola, not the straight line. Look at it, guys. Look at which one comes first. Look at which one comes first, the parabola, and then the straight line is down here. The straight line is down here. Let me ask the same question over here. Okay, here is my parabola, and here is my straight line graph. Which one sits above? Which one sits above? Good. It's the parabola. Kalalelo, look at it, my sweetie. Kahalelo. I keep saying kalalelo. Sorry. Kahalelo, look at it. The parabola is above the straight line graph. Okay, give me a thumbs up if this makes sense. Does that make sense? Cool. Now we're on the same page. Good. Which part is the straight line above the graph? Over here. Do you see how the straight line is above the parabola? Good. But remember, guys, my question is asking for the values of x. So we need to go to the space where my graph is defined there, between there and there. What are my x values in between here? My x values are going to be between the point -2 and the point 0. Are we in agreement here? Yes or no? All of these points here, my parabola will be below. Good. So when they ask for which x values, we're going to say all the x values in between -2 and the last point over here, which is 0. Give me a thumbs up if you are with me. Okay. Now, I have slowed this down, and the last thing I can possibly do in order to explain this to you is just give you the answer. But now I can't. Okay, I can't just give you the answer. These kinds of things take a little bit more thought. That's why it's always that last question that nobody in the class except that one kid gets right. Okay, so we need to get used to seeing these kinds of questions. Okay, all right, we're going to move on to the next graph. All right. Okay, what kind of graphs do I have here? I have trigonometric graphs. Okay, I want somebody, anybody can raise up their hand and remind me what kinds of things, what kind of questions are going to come up when we talk about trigonometric graphs. Does anybody remember? Anotita, what kind of things are we expecting to answer? What kind of questions are we expecting to answer here?
Well, they're going to ask us how to sketch a sine graph, a cos graph,
Good.
and a tan graph.
Good, the sketches. All right. Anything else that they could possibly ask us about?
Oh, also where the sine graph starts and where the cos graph starts, and how the
Good, the start and end. Good. What do we call it? The start and end. What do we call those kinds of things?
the period. Do we call them period?
Good, it's a period. Excellent. Anything else? If you're stuck, check in the chat. Everybody in the chat is just reminding us of everything. The period,
The amplitude.
the amplitude, good. What else?
And also the period also differs within the tan graph.
Good. The period within the
Different types
tan
of
graph,
graph.
which would be 180. Good. What else?
Just like the y, okay, for the tan graph, we also have to look at how y values increase with x values.
Good. And also tan graphs have those things that sine and cos graphs don't have. What do we call them? We forget what they're called. Oh no, there's a line that they can't touch. A line that they can't touch. Have we forgotten? Oh no. Okay, can I ask someone else, Anatida? Anybody else want to tell me what those things are called? Anybody else? Any other volunteer? Can you see le? What are they called?
It's the asymptote.
Thank you. It's the asymptotes. Excellent. Well done. Good. It's the asymptote. Amazing. All right. We also know we're also going to get domain and range here as well. You will notice, guys, that our question automatically gives us the domain. Okay, look at that. There is our domain. They've already given it to us. Okay, so the question that they're most likely to ask would be a question about the range. Okay. Can you see that people are saying you hurt their ears? I'm sorry.
Guys, I'm
Okay.
sorry.
It's okay, my sweetie. You can mute for us. Thank you so much. My one is like, the amplitude of that noise was high, ma'am. Oh, I'm sorry. That's okay. Don't ever apologize for being you, Kanyisile. It's fine. It's fine.
Yes,
All right. I know, like Teacher Nelly, I love her attitude as well. Yeah, excellent. All right, guys. So we're now going to note here that they've given us some information, guys. Remember, we always need to read the information. We can't leave the information behind. Okay, so we need to know that over here, they're asking us for f of x is equal to a sine x and g of x is equal to b cos x. So we've got two different types of graphs. Okay, now, they're telling us that g of x is our cos graph and f of x is our sine graph. Okay, so I'm going to ask you guys, where does my sine graph start? Where does my sine graph start? Good. My sine graph starts at 0. Excellent. So we're already off to a great start. Right. There. My sine graph is going to start at 0. But what do we know about a mother graph of a sine graph? Would it really go down? Would my mother graph go down? No. Which direction would my mother graph go in? My mother graph of sine would go up. Good. It would go up, not even to 2. It would go all the way up to 1, and then it would come down to 180. Right. So what have they actually done with the graph of sine, guys? What have they done with the graph of sine here? They flipped it. That's it, Kagelelo. They flipped it. So what do we know about this value over here? Is it going to be positive or is it going to be negative? There's no vertical shift. Not yet, Asayan. Oh, Isayan, sorry. Yes. There's no vertical shift. They've just flipped it. And they flipped it so we know that this is going to be negative. Right. But we know that if they flipped it, 90 degrees of my mother graph would have been at 1. So even if we flipped it, then it should have turned at negative 1. But where is my graph turning over here? Is it turning at negative 1? No, it's not. Where is it turning? It's turning at negative 2. Good. So what have they actually done? What have they actually done to my graph? What have they done to my mother graph, guys? Good. Well, they didn't move it 2 units. Good. They doubled it. So they stretched it by 2 in this way. They've stretched it up by 2. They've doubled it. And Mawande is giving away the answer. How? Mawande. Okay, cool. All right. Is everybody with me? Give me a thumbs up if you understand why we use the mother graph. We need to make sure that the mother graph, we see what they've done to the mother graph as we go along. Okay, excellent. Well done. All right. Look at my graph of G. My graph of G is a cos graph. Where does my cos graph usually start, guys? Good. Kahelelo, you're on fire. You are on fire. That's it, Chifaro. Well done, Kimututlu and Ursula. That's it. It starts at 1. So we're already off to a great start because my graph of G, somebody's speaking Afrikaans, guys. I don't know how to AD blow van onze hemel, guys. I don't know. I do not know. I don't know how to on AD blow. Okay. Sorry, guys. I'm sorry. Sorry, Tamando. Okay, so we know that our cos graph already starts in the correct place. Okay, now we just need to make sure that our mother graph of cos goes through the correct points, right? So we know that normally our cross graph would cross at 90 and our 180 for a cross graph would be at -1. So what have they done to my mother graph, guys? What have they done to my mother graph? What have they done to my mother graph of cos? It's definitely not negative. It's not negative. Anybody notice anything that they've done to my mother graph? No, they didn't double it. It's positive, yes, Palisa. Ah, Nicole, yes, that's it, Nicole. They have done nothing. They haven't done a single thing to my mother graph. My mother graph looks exactly the way that my mother graph for cos needs to look. Okay, it looks exactly that way. They haven't changed a single thing. Okay, so it's the same thing. Okay. It was a tricky question, Ursula, because now you're thinking, Ish, Vele, what did they do? That time they did nothing. They've done nothing. Okay, so our mother graph looks exactly like what the mother graph should look like. 100%. All right, now let's go to our questions because we've now figured out some things. It says here, 4.1, write down the values of A and B. Let's go back to our graphs and look. Okay, we figured out what A is. Yes, we know that A needs to be negative, and our graph has been stretched by. How much has our graph been stretched by, guys? Tell me, what is the value for A? A is equal to what? A is equal to? Good. Not -1, guys. Remember, they've also stretched it. They've also stretched it. So A must equal -2. Good, -2. That's our first answer. We can write down here, A is equal to -2. What about B? Because they also want the value for B. Right. B, have they done anything to my mother graph? Nope. My mother graph starts exactly where it should for cos, so B won't change anything. We need B to stay exactly 1. B is equal to 1. That was such a nice question. I feel like we should do more of those. They're very nice. All right, let's look at the next one here. It says, for which values of X will G be a decreasing function? Teacher Nelly, don't do this to me. I can't even. People are going to be so confused because I'm laughing. I'm laughing. Oh, I'm so sorry, Sma. Okay, guys. All right. For which values of X will G be decreasing. All right, guys, tell me which graph is the G graph? Tell me, guys, which graph is the G graph? Which graph is G? Good, it's the cos graph, right? We can't say the top one because we're not even sure what top means, right? So we need to find a space. Remember, they want values for X, guys. They want values for X. Values for X where my cos graph is decreasing. All right, so you guys agree with me? From here, going down all that way, my graph is decreasing, right? We're going to keep going, decreasing, 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 decreasing. What happens when I get to 180, guys? What happens when I get to 180? What happens to my graph? It starts, that's it in Kechi. My graph starts increasing. Good, it starts going up. And that's not what we want. The graph, the question says, for which values of X will G be a decreasing function? Let's think about our X values, where this is 0 degrees, by the way. Where did my graph start decreasing from, guys? Not from 90, from 0 degrees up until which degrees, guys? That's it. Beautiful, beautiful. Not 90, Nicole. Keep going, all the way until 180. The problem starts when we go past 180, right? The problem starts going, the question starts going up when we get there, right? So yes, that's it, Apile. 180 is like the turning point, 100%. So how are we going to express this, guys? We're going to use interval notation. So we're going to go, X is a decreasing graph from 0 degrees up until 180. In fact, I think we can exclude them because at that point, at our turning point, the graph is neither increasing or decreasing. So we're not going to include the points 0 and 180. Okay, so guys, remember, half of this is just about the way we read the question. Okay, we need to be able to read the question properly, is all. All right. Let's look at the next question. It says here, what is the amplitude of F? What is the amplitude of F, guys? Ah, beautiful. Oh my goodness. That's a Chifaro. Well done, Kanyisile. Excellent, Lindoguche. That's it, Ursula. Good. Michael, I'm pretty sure Tuyen is not a word. Okay. Tuyen is not a word. Somebody said, ma'am, what does the E stand for? This stands for X is an element of. Is an element of. Okay, which means X is anywhere in between any number after 0 and 180. Any number in between there. Okay, E element. Thank you, teacher Nels. That's it. All right, so we know that the amplitude of F is 2. All right, that was an easy enough question. There wasn't really much that they wanted, all right, from there. Now they say, what is the range of D? Do we remember how to calculate the range of D? Right, and Ursula, do not forget that the range cannot just be greater than 1. Okay, we need to be very careful. Yes, Kama.
Hi, ma'am. Sorry, I was just going to ask, are we working with both
Yes,
graphs?
answer. Yes. Don't go away. Yes. What is the range?
Of which graph, ma'am?
Of G. Now you need to know which graph is G. Have a look.
G is the sine. No, not the sine, the cos graph, ma'am.
Good, it's the cos graph. So we need to think of the range. Remember, the range will always go from our minimum to our maximum value. So what am I going to write?
Our minimum is going to be -1.
Good, -1.
And then
our maximum will
is going to be +1.
Good, +1. Excellent. Now I need to do something with these points that you've given me. I need to draw brackets. So what kind of brackets am I drawing?
You're going to draw the round ones.
The
The
The round
round.
ones? Well,
Oh,
if
the
I draw the
square
round ones, yeah, it has to be the square ones, comma, because if you draw the round ones, you're saying that we're not going to include the 0.1 and we're not going to include the point negative
I
one. So
get
the,
you.
the whole
I
here.
got, ma'am. I
Okay.
got. Mm-hmm.
You see
Yeah.
what I mean? So we must
Yes.
draw square brackets. You
The
agree with me?
square brackets.
Good.
Yeah.
Square brackets here, square brackets here. What comes over here? What are we calculating for when we speak of the range? Which values?
It's going to be y is an element of never mind.
All the values between
Let's
negative
start
one. You know what? No, just I would give you a high five and a lollipop. Girl, you're the
Ooh,
one to
girl.
love it. Love it. You did that so beautifully. Well
Thank you so
done.
much.
Mm.
Ma'am, don't forget.
Yes.
Don't forget. Don't forget.
I
I'm
will
holding
not forget. I will not forget.
Yeah.
I will not forget. Love it.
Bye,
Thank you.
girl.
We're gonna do that in just a second. Bye. Bye, girl. Okay. All right, guys. Kimototo is like, ma'am, can you please give us homework? It's quiz day. It's quiz day. Okay. Okay. All right. Then the last question here, guys, says, for which values of x is f of x minus g of x equal to 2? So now this one is going to be a little bit harder, and I don't think they would ask such a question in one of your guys' exams. But, okay, I want to ask you guys, what is the function of f of x? F of x is equal to what? Let's go back up, guys. F of x would equal to, we would replace a with negative 2, right? So what would f of x actually read? F of x would be, f of x is equal to, Tefaro, finish it off, that's it, Nkechi. Don't forget your x. So we would say f of x is equal to negative 2 sine x. What about g of x, guys? What is g of x? G of x is equal to, let's go back. We said that b was equal to what? B was equal to 1. Good. So we're going to have 1 cos x, but I'm not going to put the 1 in because 1 times anything is just 1. Okay. So I'm just going to write cos of x. All right. Now they want us to take f of x and minus g of x and make that equal to 2. All right, we're going to make that equal to 2. So we're going to go f of x is negative 2 sine x minus g of x, which is cos of x. And all of that needs to equal to 2. All right.